Hello, everyone. Modeling can seem like a glamorous profession, especially to young girls. But advocates say child models need protection from an industry that often treats them as adults. New York State lawmakers have passed legislation that would give underage models the same protections as child actors, dancers, or musicians. It is now awaiting the governor's signature. Among the provisions, a model under the age of 16 would have to have a chaperone on the job. Child models wouldn't be allowed to work past midnight or return to work less than 12 hours after they left, and 15% of their income would have to be placed in a trust account they can access when they're 18. Well, one of the people pushing for the new legislation joins us now from New York. ALISE Shoemaker is a former child model herself. ALISE, good to have you with us. I was surprised to find out that underage models in New York City weren't protected in the same way as other child performers under current labor laws. Help our viewers understand what that has actually meant for these models.
Well, a lot of people are actually surprised by this, and the fact is that it's unheard of that these models aren't getting the same rights as other underage performers, not only in just New York State, but across the world. And we're hoping that New York can be the forefront to get this passed and potentially lead and change the world.
So what are the realities right now for these underage models because there hasn't been this regulation?
Well, the reality is that we're constantly put into these situations where we're expected to act and are treated like adults, whereas we don't have the capacity, or the kids don't have the capacity to handle these situations, and they're constantly having to deal with situations that they shouldn't be in. And I'm trying to, and the Model Alliance, who I'm a member of, we're all trying to help to protect these girls and future models.
You started modeling at 14 years old there in New York. Tell us a little bit about your experience, because you have talked about some of the really unpleasant situations you found yourself in. Tell us about that.
Well, I was lucky enough when I was brought up here to New York. I had a chaperone through my agency, Click Models, and they kind of watched out for me until I got up to the age of 16. But even so, you know, 16 is not quite old enough to be an adult and handling these situations. And I was constantly found backstage. You know, you're changing and people are taking pictures of you and nobody's watching out for you. And you are put into situations where you go on castings with photographers one-on-one. You walk into a room, sometimes an apartment, and it's just you and a photographer. And teenage girls, underage models, are constantly put through this. I even had an experience with a designer who is now in prison for 59 to life, who attempted to, you know, make a move on me. But luckily I had a chaperone who called and held me accountable, and I had a curfew. So that's what we're really, what steers to me to be pushed for, is that there's some accountability for these girls.
And this bill that is passed in both houses in New York, does it address all your concerns? How satisfied are you with it?
I mean, it's a good start. I would be satisfied as long as we get the same provisions as any other child actor or performer, or any child, period. I just think that we should be recognized as any child person. We are not just models. We're more than pretty faces.
And where do things stand with getting it signed, getting this bill signed into law?
I beg your pardon?
Where do things stand now with Governor Cuomo actually signing this bill into law?
Well, we've been pushing all week. We've been trying to get more and more people to sign a petition and to urge Governor Cuomo to get this bill signed. Hopefully we'll have an answer by today or early next week. So if anybody out there still has not signed up or urged Governor Cuomo, give him a call now or tweet at him to sign this legislation.
All right, ALISE Shoemaker there joining us there from New York. Really appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Now, the